Galamera, Galamera, Galamera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And how are we today? Well, you're joining us this morning on the veranda where I've got to introduce you to some chicken characters. Now, this character here, we've called her Dorothy. All right, we've known her for a very long time. And this is the one we were telling you about with got the broken leg. All right, but she's getting about. She doesn't seem to be in any pain. We were being a bit worried that sometimes chickens have a habit of killing off the weaker in their little pack to make way for the strong. But at the moment, she's had this broken leg since the weekend. She's still getting about. She still seems to be happy. And I'm going to just quickly hand feed them, these two characters, because they're such little characters. Come here. Come on then, Dorothy. You come for some food. So there's Dorothy, and here comes the one with the broken leg is what we call one of the Laurel and Hardy pair. All right. So anyway, they're eating away at the moment. Bless them. Oh, aren't they gorgeous? Aren't they? So very intelligent creatures, chickens. So anyway, bless them. We do our little bit that we can. They're not actually our chickens in the true sense of the word, but they're not even the landlord's chickens. They're just chickens that they kind of roam, and they end up basically going wherever life is best. So they look at us as we're the best for life. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the weather. The weather has improved on yesterday. However, we have got ominous looking dark cloud up there. Yesterday the weather was horrible. Yesterday we were going to do a mega clean in the house yesterday, but we said sod it, can't be arsed, it's just mega horrible. So hopefully waiting to see what Amanda's weather forecast is for today. Looking over the back towards Amber Lockerbie and also towards Kerry. Again, dark ominous clouds up there, little bits of blue sky over there, so maybe it might all just burn off. Looking towards Kalamaki and Lagana. Big shout out to Tim Crystal, also to Susie Angus as well, tuning in. Nice to see you there. Emma Marku as well. Again, sun is up. Cloud up there obscuring the sun. So obviously, hopefully the sun might burn that all off and it might actually be a nice day. And looking towards Sillavi way, blue skies up in that direction, so maybe Sillavi's going to have a nice looking day. All right, so I really hope so. Anyway, there you go. Right, let's crack on with the news. I've got to be honest, the news today isn't good. All right, there's been a lot going on in the last 24 hours here in Zakynthos and also in Greece and also in the UK. So some of my news today is going to be slightly UK related, but it's all for a good reason. All right, and that will become apparent as I start to go through the news and the stats and everything else from yesterday. Right, so let's quickly just turn that around. Big shout out to Shane Bowen. Thanks for tuning in, big buddy. Let's have a look at what's been going on then in the last 24 hours. Right, first of all, it's the 23rd of March. Can't believe, where has time gone? I've just realised I put 22nd on this broadcast as well. That's how muddled in time you can get. It's also day 137 of the lockdown, and COVID in the last 24 hours. Some interesting things been going on. Right, at the moment, infections yesterday, unfortunately, they were up again. You may remember I reported to you last time we had 1,514 infections. Well, today we've had 1,707 new infections across the country. That brings the total to 238,830. All right. 21 new infections were detected after checks into the country. That was also up from 9. And according to the national stats yesterday, there were 2 cases on Lefkada, there were 2 cases on Kefalonia, there were 3 cases on Corfu, and there were 6 cases on Zakynthos. Now, that's according to the national stats. Now, yesterday when I went to bed, there were no statistics at all right, for any infections. In fact, I was just going to go with the story that the mobile health team here in Zakynthos was in Exahora yesterday doing testing. They carried out 3 rapid tests of residents of Exahora village and also people from the surrounding area. However, 47 people turned out, and all 47 of those that went were all tested negative. However, this morning, after checking the local press, it seems we've had a record number of infections yesterday. Anyway, yesterday, Zakynthos had the highest number of recorded cases since the beginning of the pandemic. Yesterday, on Monday, there were 14 cases. 7 people are now being treated in the COVID clinic of the Zakynthos hospital. The actual breakdown of those cases hasn't yet been published. It'll be interesting to see where they are, the ages of the people, and what locations. Now, I have actually added those 11 confirmed cases to my stats. Now, my stats are saying that we've had 214 cases since the beginning of the year, 30 cases in January, 70 cases in February, and so far this month we've had 114 cases for this month, and we've only got a few days of this month left to go. Now, when it comes to deaths, deaths, I'm afraid, are also up here in Greece from 41 deaths to 69 new deaths as of yesterday, bringing the total death toll since the pandemic started to 7,531. The average age of those people, as always, 79 years of age. 96% of them had underlying health conditions, all were over the age of 70, and the average daily death rate in 2019 was 329 deaths a day across the country. Now, as of critical cases are also up as well, which is putting more pressure on the health service, especially in the Attica region. Yesterday I reported there were 674 critical cases across the country in ICUs. That number has now risen to 681 new cases, of which 452 are male and 229 are female. The average age of people in critical condition is 68 years of age, and 86% of those have underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. And as I reported this morning, we now have 7 people in the ICU in the hospital here on Zakynthos. So again, we fingers crossed that those people are going to be okay. Right, now, today's news then. An extensive survey in the US, Peru and Chile regarding the efficiency of the AstraZeneca vaccine has shown that it is 79% effective at preventing systematic COVID-19, and it's 100% effective in preventing serious illness and hospitalization. Now, the AstraZeneca has commented that the study also found no increase in the risk of thrombosis or related side effects among 21,583 participants who'd received at least one shot of the vaccine. Now, meantime, Britain's coronavirus death toll has plunged by 3/4 in a week to the lowest daily figures since September, according to figures from the UK Department of Health. Now, that means they posted another 17 fatalities yesterday. So only 17 people died in the UK yesterday, which was below the 64 that were recorded on the Monday. In context, if you look at the UK, the normal death toll there in 2019 was about 1,454 people a day would die of other illnesses because COVID wasn't around. Now, this is the smallest daily death toll that the UK has had since September the 28th. They also had only 5,342 positive cases as well, which were also registered in the last 24 hours, and those figures are obviously on the decline as well. However, testing figures have ramped up drastically in the UK. In other words, they're doing more testing, and this is because schools in England were allowed to reopen on March the 8th. Now, in the same context of this, a British government advisor said the UK would deploy a traffic-like system for summer holidays with countries hit badly by the COVID-marked red, amid warnings that travel may not be allowed from the 17th of May. So again, we are waiting to see what is going to happen. Remember, the word is may not be allowed, not allowed, all right? So the Care Minister, Helen Watley, urged people to hold off on booking their foreign travel. Ms. Watley said it just feels premature to book holidays abroad at the moment. She would not commit to the government's target of resuming travel from May the 17th. Anyway, Tory MPs warned foreign travel is a major incentive for young people to go and get the jab because they want to go on holiday. Anyway, a government task force is considering how international travel will work and is due to report to the Prime Minister Boris Johnson on April the 12th. Trust me, we will be watching that story like a hawk. Anyway, now, the most worrying thing this morning, this came up on the media this morning in Greece here. MPs in England will vote on Thursday on a new law proposed by the government, this is the British government, that will impose a fine of £5,000 to anyone leaving the country without a valid reason. If passed by MPs, the law will come into force from next week. That means foreign holidays are already banned, but this would support the ban with the full force of the law. The law will not include travel to the Channel Islands, the Isle of Man, the Republic of Ireland, as long as these are final destinations. So you can't use that as to go there and go on to another location. Also as well, anyone travelling out of the UK has to submit a declaration to travel form confirming valid reasons for leaving the countries such as education, work or childcare. Well, I don't know about you, but that seems like really draconian measures. The reason for this ban, they're saying, is because the UK is worried about variants coming into the UK to muddle the waters, shall we say. But to me, it smacks of freedom of movement being stopped, liberty to be able to go from one place to another. If you've been tested and you've had a vaccine test, etc., or you've had the vaccine, then what is the issue with being able to move around and to leave the country? But to say you're going to get fined £5,000 because you've gone out of the country and you haven't filled the correct form in, again, it's these draconian laws that are coming in that are going to be very hard to get rid of if everything starts to go back to normal. It's also going to have an adverse effect on us in regards to tourism as to what is going to happen with our tourism come the 17th of May, when we were looking at the Brits are back. At the moment, remember, we've got the Germans supposedly coming on May. We've got the Romanians look like they're going to come if the COVID vaccination certificate things come into play. And also the Israelis as well. But we cannot rely on just the Israelis and the Romanians. We need the British here, that is for sure. But we also still haven't heard about what's happening with the Dutch at the moment and whether the Dutch are going to be coming, because they normally would be our first people coming on their vacations here to Greece ahead of the Brits normally. But again, no word about what's happening with the Dutch side of tourism as well. Anyway, again, going back to a bit of UK news, the COVID vaccine EU tussle with the UK over AstraZeneca is escalating. Boris Johnson is calling a number of EU leaders ahead of their meeting on Thursday to try and ensure that the AstraZeneca jabs or components of the jabs produced in the Helix factory won't be blocked by the EU and kept from the EU. Anyway, EU officials say there has been no formal request by the UK for an expert from the Helix yet, but the already existing cross-channel strains surrounding the vaccine are obviously infamous by now. Anyway, the EU insists the AstraZeneca made a different made different and contrary promises to Brussels and the UK in their respective contracts signed last year. They say the EU AstraZeneca contract promised to ensure the vaccine deliveries to the EU using production facilities in both the EU and the UK. An assurance from AstraZeneca that it had no other contracts which would get in the way of fulfilling its commitments to the EU. AstraZeneca denies that it is failing to honour its contract with the EU. It says that the contract commits the company to making the best reasonable efforts with it. It says it's faced with production challenges. Remember, there was fires last year in India where some of the vaccine components were being made, and also, if I remember rightly, there's a little biotech company in Halifax, I think actually, that produces fatty molecular strands, which has to go into the AstraZeneca as well, which has to be exported across to the EU. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see what games are being played on a political level, because I still feel there's a bit of Brexit at the back of some of this shenanigans that's going on with the AstraZeneca and also the Oxford vaccine as well. A bit of local news for you now. Not much light relief in this either. Controversial issue of the pier mooring for the cruise ships and the location of the much discussed project for the port of Zakynthos in the framework of the master plan. Now, the master plan, for those people who are wondering what that is the projected project that's been going for years now to build a cruise ship terminal down in the town, where obviously cruise ships can come in, moor up, and people visiting via cruise ship can get off the vessels without having to use a tender and obviously come ashore. Well, at the moment, there's been a big meeting which took place by teleconference with the Ionian Islands, and the regional minister, Rodi Kastara Taskopoulou, did not hide her concerns and reservations about the construction of the pier in Porto and the extent to which it will affect the identity of historic centre of the town, and that any other alternative proposals seem to be inapplicable either technically or financially. Now, during the discussion, it was announced that the next meeting of the ELSA, which is the Greece's Port and Planning Development Commission, it's expected to change the decision of the location of the pier from Agios Dionys, which is basically in town, close to Solomon Square on the far side, to the pier at Agios St Nicholas, which is Port St Nicholas at the north end of the island. Now, while the regional government spoke of a compromise solution that will be sought so that the project to be done at the pier of Agios Nikolaos, but the intervention the interventions that will be provided, they say, will be milder. Now, the thing is, I can see here is why put a cruise terminal up on the north end of the island? Because people basically, when they come off their cruise ships, they're expecting to see some kind of infrastructure there and expecting to go and visit. They'd have to get on a coach, drive that coach all the way down to the south end of the island, obviously to come into Zante town to actually do any shopping or to see anything. There's nothing up at Agios Nikolaos. And this is the problem that a lot of these cruise companies are going to say, is that we're not going to send our cruise ships to a location where there is nothing for our guests to do other than go on organised trips. And a lot of people on cruises sometimes don't want to go on organised trips. They just want to spend a few hours wandering around, looking in shops, and basically having a look at the local area and having a few drinks in the local bars, and obviously spending some money in the local tourist shops. Anyway, it looks like that the alternative location was to be outside the Xena building, or building a pier there. Now, that pier there, they're saying would cost actually 2.5 times more than if they were to build it in the town or build it up at Agios Nikolaos. The problem is that there now also been complaints that there'll be problems with traffic if they build it into the town, and that is another reason why they're looking at trying to shift the location of this cruise terminal to the north end of the island. To be honest, put it in the south end of the island. What is the issue? What is the problem? It is where people expect to sail into. It's a beautiful location to sail into, and then people will get off. People will spend money. I would think local shopkeepers here would be absolutely crying out for cruise ships to dock in the town and for people to be able to get off and walk. If they want to go on an organised trip, fantastic, they can still do that. And the point is, when they finish their organised trip, and I've guided many cruise trips for people coming on from cruises to visit the island, the first thing they do is when they finish their little visit around the island in the day is get off and have a little wander in the town before going back to the vessel. So again, I think some common sense needs to come into this. Anyway, you've got to remember this master plan was published back in 2017 and then republished again in 2019. And the green light was actually given that the proposal was to be in the town and not up in the north end of the island. So all that's happening then is this is just delaying the project even longer. So again, I'll keep my eye on that one for you to see if cruise ships eventually will start to return here to the island. Anyway, and finally, a nice interesting little story, which you might find odd. But an interesting report was made public by the UN about the levels of food waste around the world. And surprisingly, Greece comes to the top of those for wasting the most food. Yes, that's right. Greece likes its food, but doesn't always eat it all right? Now, the amount of food that is being wasted in Europe is high, something that in the case of almost every corner of the globe, which is highly developed and has a high standard of living. So basically, the better you live, the more you chuck away, as common sense would tell you. However, the situation in Greece doesn't look good at all. Yes, not only do the Greeks waste almost double the amount of food that's being wasted on the average around the world, but they are also the first in the entire continent of Europe for food waste. Now, Greece manages to waste on average a staggering 142 kilograms, that's 313 pounds of food every year. That's what Greeks waste, compared to 74 kilograms or 163 pounds, which is the global average. Now, when it comes to the rest of Europe, the only other European nation that wastes more than 100 kilograms is Malta. Yeah, but then again, that is settled against the per capita of the population. So the tiny island of Malta, they actually trash a total of 129 kilograms. That's 284 pounds of food per year, coming second. But I didn't find out how much the UK trashes, because I don't think they class us as being in Europe anymore. But that's by the by. Right, let's have a quick look at who's tuning in at the moment. I've got a lot of people saying hello. Julie Meldron, I'll give you a wave, my darling. Josie Richards, I'll give you a wave as well. Nice to see you tuning in. Ian Booth is tuning in. He says, morning, Ginge. Susie Angus is also tuning in. Emma Markle, Josie Richards. Who else have we got there? Mike Gallandy is also tuning in as well. How you doing, Mike? Hope all is well. Tilly Broadbent is tuning in. Oh, there's a new name. Hello, Tilly. Alan Woodhouse is also tuning in as well. Shane Bowen up there on Exmoor. How you doing, big buddy? Just to remind you that my Dance Anthem show is now up online for you to watch. That was the show that was broadcast last Friday. That is now up online, and you can tune into that anytime you like. And basically, leave some comments if you want about the show. Like it. I don't think you can like it. You just watch it, but enjoy it. And I've already made my weekend dance anthem show ready for this Friday coming, and I've got some crackers in there. Thank you to Sam Curtis for some of your music selection choices. I think this Friday show is, going to probably be one of my best, actually. So thanks for that. Also, Shane Bowen says, Gallimera, Folsom Ginge. Karagakis, I think he's trying to speak Greek there. Thank you, fella. So sweet. Bob Monroe is tuning in as well. Chris Clark is watching. Andy Johnson is watching. Jan Lawrence is watching. Rainer Pete Dillon is watching as well. Andrew the Fridge Watkins is watching all the way over from Wales. Rainer Pete Dillon says morning. Alison Wharton is watching. Anthony Westlake is also watching as well. Also, I've just remembered something. You might remember there is a little posting on my Facebook page. Ian Thompson, the ex-DJ from Zakynthos here that I used to hang out with many years ago here, and he also was one of the original founding DJs of Island Radio as well. You may remember he went into hospital with sepsis. He had to have his leg amputated, and while he was in hospital, he also contracted coronavirus as well. He's had his life really turned upside down at the moment. All the DJs that have known him from the past and also from the present, they've all got together, and there's a special gig that's going to be taking place on the 3rd of April, an all-day broadcast raising money for him and his family. He's got a young child as well, and obviously, like most DJs, because of what's been going on with coronavirus, he hasn't worked, he's not been able to get any money, and so he's been relying basically on his partner to support themselves through this crisis. So for some people who've been enjoying furlough and getting 80% of your wage, there's a lot of people out there who've been getting absolutely diddly squat, all right, from any government who have been trying to, hang out until they can go back to work again. So again, go onto my Facebook page. There's a link there. He's got some very interesting DJs, some big name DJs in there as well, who are going to be doing a special broadcast for him in association with the Birmingham Telegraph, I think it is the newspaper, who've been covering his story as well, trying to raise some money so that he can obviously adapt now to life now that he's had his leg removed. And trust me, when you hear him talk about the effects of COVID on him and how it's affected him, it does make you think, actually, and it's made me think as well. But anyway, go and check that out, and if you can offer him some support, that would be fantastic. Right, that's it from me. Just to tell you, I'll keep my ear to the ground. I'll see what's going on. I'm going to be following some of these numbers very closely. Hopefully a bit more clarity on these 14 cases that we've had within the last few hours. Again, we shall just have to wait and see. And of course, this new law that's been passed through the UK, this effective kind of telling you slyly that travel isn't going to happen from the 17th of May. I know there's people out there who've been booking holidays, and once again they've been told that their holidays have been cancelled and to rebook again for 2022. It's not looking good, and it's not boding well. We're just, again, we're in the hands of the people above us who supposedly are working in our best interests, but at the moment they seem to be working in their own interests rather than our interests. And at the moment, I know a lot of you just want to get out of the country. You just want to come here on holiday. You want to enjoy yourselves. You want to have a good time. And the government seems intent, this is the British government I'm talking about now, on going into another lockdown at some point. And it cannot be sustainable. It cannot keep on going. You've still got to pay for all of this, guys, and you're going to be paying for this for a very long time. And in fact, Greece is in the same position. It cannot afford this either. And we need to get back to what we got to do is basically start living with it, not trying to fight it, but start living with it. Let's get rid of the word flu and put COVID in if that's going to make anybody feel better. But at the end of the day, we've lived with flu. And you look at the epidemic of 1918 and how flu has changed and gone through its many mutations. COVID is another form of flu, and it's going the same way. So again, some of these draconian measures that have been put in place are just going to stave off the inevitable, that you cannot get rid of it. You're going to have to live with it, and you're going to have to find other ways and means. But at the end of the day, you cannot close economies down for this. People have still got to turn and burn, earn money, basically pay their mortgages, pay to employ people. The hospitality sector obviously has been absolutely decimated with what's going on. And maybe if you're lucky, you might get a drink in a car park in a couple of weeks' time over in the UK. But the way they're talking at the moment, I'd be very, very surprised if that is going to happen. However, I am trying to stay positive, believe it or not. I'm just looking at it from the outside looking in, as like you're looking at me from the outside looking in and thinking, oh, the grass is greener over there, Ginge. Well, in some ways, yeah, the grass is greener, but trust me, we're going to have the same issues that you're going to have where you are as well. Right, that's it from me. That's the end of my I wouldn't call it a rant. That's the end of my observations for today. You take care. Have a great day. And I'm going to give a little bit more food to this little chicken that sat down at my feet before I disappear away. Anyway, thank you for those people that say totally agree. Can I see who that is? Just quickly before I disappear away, there's lots more people looking in. Ian Daly, Jack Thorpe, John David Hester, Gail Marsden, Christine Brown, Heather Harvey Green says Gallimera. No weather forecast today from Amanda. Oh, she must be slacking at the moment. But anyway, we'll wait and see what's happening. Anyway, I've got to go because I don't want to blabber on. All right, I'll catch you later. You take care. I'll keep my ear to the ground. Ta-ra.